From my very early days at Paramount, my ambition has been to promote African innovation, not only in the defense sector, but throughout the economy. Let me tell you a little bit about how this all started. Like the Wright brothers, we started very small. We had a crazy dream, but it was quite a small dream. We started as a manufacturer's representative. We started working with a major player in the defense industry at a time when African governments were starting to take up their mandates under their peacekeeping mandates for the United Nations. These governments didn't have the ability to fulfill these mandates. So we went in and we helped to create systems, peacekeeping systems that could help these governments fulfill their mandates and start dealing with peacekeeping on the African continent by Africans for Africans. It was a very, very important time politically, because what was going on prior to that is we had European peacekeepers coming to Africa and actually making more conflict than they were making peace because of a complete lack of understanding of the environment. So Paramount was taking the platforms from this major manufacturer, turning them into systems and supplying them all over the continent. And we were very successful. In fact, we were so successful that we built a sound little business. And one day, we got a 3-line fax from our principal. We regret to advise that we will no longer be dealing in Africa. Full stop. And our world was completely shattered. 3 lines, and it was all over. And my immediate reaction was to get angry. My immediate reaction was to get very angry. What right did these Europeans have to discard my continent? And I went to England and I started a legal campaign, and I was going to go and beat these people up. But luckily, sanity prevailed, because it would have been a David against Goliath fight, and I'm not sure anybody would have won. But I came back to South Africa and I sat with my team and I said, guys, we've got a problem here. We're out of the peacekeeping business, we're now going into the litigation business. And one guy at the back of the room stood up and said, how much is it going to cost us to fight these people? And I gave him a number, and he said, I'll tell you what, you give me that money and I'll make you product that can put us into competition with them. And you know what, I laughed at him, because at that point we were talking about a major multi-billion-dollar defense company, and here we were, a small African organization with great dreams and great aspirations, but very little else. The truth is that after thinking about it for a couple of days, I realized that maybe this guy had a point. And we gave it a go. We started from nothing. But we realized that we had experience. We knew our market, we knew Africa. We had some of the top engineers in the world. We had some of the best engineering brains that the world had ever seen. So we made a brave decision. We decided to do it ourselves. We decided that we would build and design some of the most advanced military vehicles in the world. It was a completely crazy idea. Here was a group of mavericks who decided to start a global aerospace and defense business from scratch, targeting a region from which the biggest player in the world had just withdrawn because they felt that it was too much effort. But we believed in ourselves. We believed absolutely in the skills of our people. And we believed in our own vision. And this was fundamental, because without that, we would never have started. And through harnessing the expertise of people who'd done it before in the defense industry, we set out to design and develop and bring to market a complete defense system. A system that included land capability, that included sea and air defense, a system that included tactical communications. This was thinking on a really grand scale. This was thinking on a grand scale at a time when even our politicians didn't believe that Africa needed a defense industry. This was thinking that needed billions of rands of capital, which, by the way, we did not have. This was thinking that would normally have secured one a place in a lunatic asylum. This was thinking that needed a different way of thinking. A way of thinking that was less about analysis and more about action. We broke with every single industry practice. We started from clean sheet design, something that none of the other manufacturers around the world had done. And we realized that we had to do this in a way that had never been done before. We realized that everybody else was talking about vehicle survivability, but I'd seen enough people being dragged off the battlefield in body bags to realize that nobody cared about whether the vehicle survived or not. We were concerned about human survivability. We also ignored past threats. We ignored what had gone on in the world before, and we looked at places like Iraq and Afghanistan, real threats, modern threats, today's threats, and we designed according to those. It might be hard for you to believe, but 5 years ago we were not in the defense industry at all. And now global players worth billions of dollars are queuing up to partner with us. Queuing up to work with us because we have stuff that nobody else in the world has got. We have technologies that the Russians don't have, and the Americans don't have, and the Germans don't have. We have them here in Africa. One of the most important elements in the growth and development of a future aerospace industry, we realized, would be to harness the strength of the mental capacity that exists on this continent. And one of the things we realized that we had, that nobody else in the world had, was the culture of a can-do mentality. The culture of being able to take a problem, identify the problem, and come up with a solution without getting involved in all of the reasons why it was not possible to come up with a solution. Once we'd done this in the land forces environment, we realized that the pinnacle of technological innovation is the aerospace industry, and we thought that there was no reason why we now couldn't do this in aerospace. But we realized that before we did this in the aerospace environment, we had to grow the people that could do it. So we created an innovation center in our aerospace business in Pretoria. We purchased a business in South Africa that was a primary supplier to Boeing and to Airbus of components for aircraft. And we knew that if we could produce the components, there was nothing stopping us from making whole aircraft. So we created an innovation center, a center where young engineers could work side by side with experienced engineers, not only to learn the science of innovation, but to learn the art of the can-do mentality. And we had a great opening ceremony, and there were students, there were young engineers, not much older than yourselves, and they came together with experienced engineers, guys and ladies that were towards the end of their careers, and we needed a project. And we got together in a room not unlike this, and we said, okay, now we've got the center, we've got the vision, what are we going to do? And somebody stood up and said, let's build a microlight. And somebody else got up and said, well, maybe we should go and buy a kit plane, and we'll build a kit plane. And I said, no chance. We haven't assembled the A-team here to go and build a kit plane or build a microlight. We've assembled you all together to make a dent in the universe, to do something that's never been done before. And I sketched them a vision. I painted them a verbal picture of a product that did not exist, based on technology that up until that stage did not exist, to fit into a market category that at that point did not exist. And I think that everybody thought I was completely mad.